Hi everyone, thanks for joining us for a second week. Today we are going to be talking about some of the new things that have landed with Graph CMS today and how you can make use of them. And we're extremely excited to show you one of the new things, which is versioning, which has been long requested. With me as always is Jonathan. How are you doing, Jonathan?
Hey Jamie, how's it going? It's good to be on the stream with you. This was a week off for me, but I've
Yeah,
decided to join the stream anyway because I'm excited to see what's coming up.
yeah. Thanks for joining, taking the time to go through it. So maybe let's dive in and kind of have a look at what's going on with some of the new updates. So I think the biggest thing, and live on our blog now, anyone that isn't watching this or watches it later can go find out about all of the updates to the product today. But we've just rolled out some changes. The first thing really is the developer plan. The developer plan has been upgraded to now come with some amazing new things like webhooks. Webhooks were always a paid upgrade previously, but now you can use webhooks on the free developer tier, which is brilliant. I think we're going to see a lot more people using webhooks and coming up with some crazy new ideas and just kind of just building and having fun with the product. So I'm really excited to see that. Obviously, the content entry limits have been raised now. So, from 500 to 2,500 content entries are now available. So, even that is a significant update alone.
Yeah, so the webhooks is obviously a pretty exciting addition to the free plan. We hear a lot of people who are tinkering around with Graph CMS wanting those webhooks. So now they've got
Mm.
them, and they are kind of a critical part of a lot of people's kind of stacks, whether they're using that to you know, trigger a build with a CDN like Vercel or Netlify, or they're using something indexing with Algolia or something like that. So, the webhooks are a critical path for a lot of people's application stack. So it's really
Yeah.
a very valued addition.
Yeah, definitely. And next week, I'll be doing a live stream with Matt from Algolia, and we'll be talking about how people can use Algolia and how they can sync to Algolia. And one of the ways people can sync is
Nice.
obviously with webhooks. So we'll talk all about that in next week's episode and the ways that you can use webhooks there. But webhooks are great, great that they've landed now. And like I say, it's not just the only thing. There's a lot more things available on the developer tier, so go check that out. And we've made some kind of improvements to the UI here and there. You'll notice a few new buttons or buttons that have changed and do a few extra things now. So I think we're constantly improving the content editing experience and how that content's displayed within the app. And today we've rolled out some kind of minor adjustments to that. So I'm hoping, those I'm sure they will be well received. Um, and overall, like any kind of headless product, we always continue and strive to improve the API and the performance and response times there. So again, we've rolled out some significant changes that just improve the overall API experience, which is also great, right? In the headless world.
Definitely. Gotta, we're always kind of looking to improve things. Just looking at the kind of blog post here to see what has changed. One thing that stood out to me that was quite handy was the preview in Playground function that's available on content entry. So if you're editing a particular piece of content, for example, you can quite easily preview that piece of content. It'll generate the query, run the query for you, and get your JSON response. So that's a pretty nice little touch there. That's available in the UI now. We'll kind of come across that in a
Yeah.
bit when we dive into the UI. So yeah, there's some nice little features that I've just rolled out. More to come, as Jimmy said, and if you dive onto our blog, you'll get a kind of a better breakdown of everything there.
Yeah.
More detail about the version as well, which we're going to cover shortly.
Yeah. I mean, probably now's a good time to talk about visioning. So I think
Sure.
for a long time, a lot of people has been asking, how do I kind of keep track of state changes within my content? So when you kind of publish new content, how can I go back and see what it was like before? And possibly, previously that was maybe available or stored elsewhere with webhooks, but now we've natively brought that into the system. So we now support versioning. So you can query for the versions of a particular published document, and you can see all the previous published records, and then you can kind of query to get the actual data at that point in time, which is really cool. So yeah, let's maybe dive in just to the blog post here and just kind of see. We'll show these in the app in just a sec, but this blog post will kind of walk you through what the UI looks like a little bit, and kind of where you would expect to see them. So yeah, all the fun stuff's in here, and of course we have documentation on that as well. There's two types to our documentation. If anyone isn't familiar with our docs, is new to joining us, the documentation has two types, and you can kind of change the context of both of the types of documentation you're viewing by clicking on this drop down here. So we have the API reference, which is more of the API side, what goes in, what goes out. And then we kind of have these guides, which kind of hold your hand a little bit, showing you what buttons to click, where to press, and where to input your data and stuff. So if you're a developer, you'll spend a lot of your time in the API reference, kind of seeing what the API can do and what responses look like, and input types and stuff. But then the guides will kind of walk a lot of the content editors through using the UI. So I think we should now maybe just dive in and see what this looks like. So here I'm just logged into the Graph CMS website app, and of course with Dog Food in here we use our CMS to power our own website. And here we have the blog post model. And just very quickly in this drop down here, like Jonathan touched on before, we have this preview and playground, which is a new thing. So you can kind of click this and it will open up that query inside of inside the web app. So you can go ahead and run that query, and that's exactly the same query that the content view was running. So it's pretty cool. And as you can see, we're constantly updating the app as well. And since we started, there's been a new update pushed, so we can just kind of refresh the page and get access to the latest version. So if we head back to our content model for blog post, and we open this up, now on the right hand side, you'll see we have some options here. So I'll just move that in.
I'm just following along here on my own screen as well. It's the first time I've played around with this.
So I'm just moving my screen on the stream there, so it's a bit easier for people to see. But on the right-hand side, what we now have under versions is we can see kind of all the date and timestamps when data was changed. And this is, where you'll find those different versions. And if we say for example, we click on this 1051, if we click this little compare icon, this is now going to pop out, and the UI looks kind of like this because my resolution's so high for the stream. On a normal display, you'll be able to see these kind of side by side, and things will kind of line up nicely. So I'll kind of bring that in a little bit more so people can see. But what we have here is, this is the version that we're currently comparing from 1050 yesterday. And we can see the title here is different to what we have now. So on the left, we have our current version, and then on the right, we have kind of the previous version. And as a content editor, wouldn't it be really nice to restore that content really quickly without having to copy, paste, and do whatever? Say we know a particular day or time that an article or any bit of content in the system was updated, we can just click this little button here, and there we go. The previous content is being moved over, and then we can click save and publish, and that will publish a new version. So why don't we do that and see what that looks like? Yes, I'm sure I want to publish this blog post. And if we close that comparison, you'll see now we have a new version at the time it is now, and we can kind of go from there. So actually, I don't like this e-commerce. It's not, it's spelled wrong for starters. So we can compare. Obviously not that one, but we'll choose 1050. Oh, that was also incorrect as well. We'll choose the one from earlier. Was that right? Maybe I spelled them all wrong. I can't remember. There we go. So 1050 yesterday, we had the correct spelling. And let's restore that published version because we don't want that on the website, right? So it's kind of a nice way to kind of go into a previous version and restore content if there's any mistakes or the content's out of date. So that's pretty much, from a UI point of view, that's how easy it is, right? There's nothing you're doing that's different. You are changing content, you're publishing that content, and when you publish that content, you will have a new version of that content, which is cool. That's all we really need.
Yeah, I think this is pretty useful, particularly for editors working on kind of teams of multiple content editors or content creators. You know, they want to be able to revert back to revisions or amend issues and mistakes, that kind of stuff. So those kind of workflows, revision is vital. So, you know, it's been a feature, like you said, that a lot of people have asked for, particularly in teams of, you know, multiple people working inside of the content. So yeah, it's good. It's good to see that. What I would like to say is, and I don't know whether this is in the works or not. Obviously, this is just kind of rolled out, so there's probably improvements coming. But what would be nice is if you could kind of just restore a version. So there was a, you know, say that version from yesterday, you could just revert back to that version with one click without having to kind of compare it. So you just kind of like a time machine restore. So you have it, you know, in a Mac OS, you have time machine, you just click restore and it kind of reverts everything back to that in one click without having to do anything manually. So that'd be nice.
That's a good idea.
Hopefully Fabian's listening. He can put that on the product wish list. But yeah, I mean, how does this translate? How does this translate into, or how do I use this with the kind of content APIs?
Yeah, so if we were using the content API, let's take an example when you might look to use versioning with the content API. So you're delivering content on a front end somewhere. If anyone's familiar with GitHub, the closest analogy that I can think of where this is kind of similar is if you comment on an issue on GitHub and you edit that issue comment, you can then kind of toggle down and see the previous comment, see the state of what the comment was, you know, and what changed. That's a good use case here. So if somebody was integrating a blog or integrating some kind of comment, or somebody was using this as an internal intranet system and they wanted to kind of use this within the intranet to comment on things, if any one of those authors changed it, this is kind of like an audit log. We can see what the version was before, when it was modified, and obviously you can always restore to that version as well. So if people are creating these custom intranets and anything else with the CMS, the way that we do that, like you say, is using the content API. And right within the dashboard, I can use the API playground. And I'm just going to open up a new query here just to kind of show you how simple this is to get going. And we can kind of go, okay, get me a blog post where the ID is, oops, should have got that ID before. Blog post, we'll get the ID here. And you can click on this ID and it'll copy it to the clipboard as well. So if you're kind of whizzing around the app, it's kind of little things baked in there to just save you a bit of time. And if we query for all of those, and we get the title, you should see that we get this post here. However, this will be a draft stage. And that's because here the default stage is set to draft. And we can obviously change it to published and we'll get the published state. Of course, you could specify the stage here as published, and that would only ever query the published stages, the content in the published stage as well. But let's just stick to using the playground's default. Well, we'll change the default for the playground to be published. And then now if we kind of use history here, we can get the ID of the history, the change of that document, the revision, and when that was created at. Now we get the response and we get all of the history changes here. And these are kind of just the snapshots of when things changed. And then we kind of get the ID or the number of that revision. And these IDs match because they are the blog post that each one of those revisions is a document, and that document ID matches the kind of the node or the reference or the model that changed, the piece of content that changed.
Right. So
So if we
the
kind of,
blog post
yeah,
is like the parent to these history
yeah,
revisions.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously we get kind of the date and time of when all this stuff happened. So we can see when things changed in here as well. So if we grabbed, for example, this ID, this ID here, and we look for the revision 2, now I've kind of got a record of all of my revisions. What if I wanted to query for that particular revision data? I wanted to see the snapshot of data when that happened. Well, now we can kind of do that. We can query that individual blog post version. There's a new query type, so it's called blog post version in my example, but this could be, page version, whatever model you have. We now have a query for the version, so you can get a particular version or a revision of that. And I think if you go into the kind of the query, and we have a look at all the different things that are available, you see we have asset version. Any model that you've created in the system automatically will get the kind of documentation created for you and all of the models, all of the queries and types available for the versions. And then you can see what that looks like. So we can see here when we query a blog post version, if we actually pull up the docs for blog post version, and we see the type for that, you can see we can get back the stage, we can get the created at, we can get the actual data. And this data is the most important thing, right? If we run this, and we close this, you'll see that we get that exact document at that revision. Now this is revision 3, but if I change it to revision 2, which was the one before, you'll see that the title here has that extra E on the end. And when we're using the UI before, this is the exact same data what was on the right-hand side that you could restore. So if anybody was looking to kind of programmatically do this, well, they have the content now in order to do that. So it's pretty cool.
Nice.
So yeah, that's kind of, we've done the UI and the API to versioning. It's a very simple process, I think, of whenever content changes or is published, you will get a new version. And you can use the query, you can use the UI to kind of navigate yourself around that.
So I can start using this today in my project, is that right?
Yeah, if you head to the website, and we've updated our pricing plans as well. And if we have a look and we scroll down, you should see there's kind of some retention history in here as well on these different plans. Obviously, the enterprise, that's custom, whatever you like there. There's kind of a retention period for those versions as well. And each plan kind of, they're different throughout each plan, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's not available on the developer plan, right? It's only on
it's an upgrade for a paid plan. So you'll see in the table here we have it available on the 3 core plans, enterprise, and the developer. Obviously, you need to upgrade from the developer to make use of this, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks good.
But yeah, the free developer plan didn't previously contain webhooks. It now does. There's so much more possibility with using the free developer plan. All of the projects we've seen, I think it was late last week, we've seen somebody create a map and it kind of contained data from Graph CMS. Now, you can add more content entries onto that map. You can add more pins to the map because there's more data, more content entries available. You can invite up to 3 users to your project now and have 2 different stages per project as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool. There's a lot more things going on.
It's amazing what you can get for free on the internet these days to kind of power your project. So we're very generous.
Yeah, I'm pleased we did this. We've been hearing for a long time people wanted access to those webhooks at a lower price point, and what's lower than free? You can now get going with webhooks. and kind of build upon them. And if you need kind of more, you want more support or more functionality around version and whatever, well, it's just an upgrade away. You can do that in app. You can upgrade throughout the plans and have access to this. Now, if you go back, you won't have that, and they'll be removed and things. But what a great way to start on that free developer plan.
Nice. So what else do we have coming up this week on YouTube or in the near future?
So next week we'll be talking with Algolia on how you can get going with GraphCMS and sync in Algolia. There's a bunch of different ways we can do that, and we'll talk about those in the episode. That is then. We have a stream later on today from Jesse, and he'll be streaming with Vercel on how you can deploy a blog in 5 minutes. I have my stopwatch ready, so I'm going to be timing those guys.
Nice.
So they're going to kind of walk you through a new example that shows you how to deploy to Vercel. And there's a lot of fun kind of things within that project for anyone building on Next.js, I think it's using, and Vercel.
Nice. So plenty more content coming up.
Yeah, but plenty more.
Nice. Yeah, this is a bit of a shorter stream today, but we just kind of wanted to jump on and show off versioning whilst it was still fresh.
Yeah, very short video this week. Excited to dive into next week and cover more on the Algolia stuff. And of course, we have the stream later today. But go check out the blog post, graphcms.com/blog. You can read about all the new changes, all the pricing changes, and some of the community contributions. If I just pop to the blog very quickly and give a shout out to one of the community devs, Colby, that put together this video. Where is it? Yeah, he wrote an article on Free Code Camp and also did a video as well, which kind of walks you through creating this map. So go check this video out, and he will walk you through creating a travel bucket list map with, using Leaflet.js and storing the data inside of GraphCMS and then showing on Gatsby. So there's a lot of things going on there. That's worth checking out. So really awesome video. So very, huge thanks from all of us for kind of putting that content together. I'd love to see this stuff. And if anybody has any suggestions that is watching or has any kind of things they want to create, just drop us a tweet or a message on the website. And we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, we're also open to having guests on here.
Yeah, definitely.
So
if you want to come on this stream, probably be every week or every other week, we kind of just discuss what's new or a different thing that you can do with GraphCMS. If you're interested to be on the stream, let us know. Come and show off your project. We'd love to do that and keep this very informal. So that's it from us this week. I'm Jamie. You can reach me on Twitter, and you can reach me via the intercom on the website if you have any questions at all. And happy building with GraphCMS.
Yeah, I'll see you on Monday when I'm back from my staycation.
Yeah, have fun.
All right, Jamie, take it easy. See
Cheers,
everybody.
man. Thank you. Bye.